All right, so we've got this recording and hopefully they can hear me next door. So my name is Jerome Gerber, and I am one of the mentors for the Eastridge Robotics high school robotics team. Our team came in third at the state tournament this year, and we're a two-time state champion for the robotics competition here in Minnesota. And so we have about 50 people, 50 kids on our high school robotics team. And this year we've decided to make a really big effort to try to get more kids all throughout Woodbury and District 833 engaged in robotics. And one of the things that we do is we are a part of an organization called FIRST. And FIRST is an international organization. In a non-COVID year, there are over, 10,000 teams all across the United States and across the world that compete either at the grade school, middle school, or high school level. And just in Minnesota alone, in a normal year, there's 1,000 high school teams that compete. There are more high school robotics teams than there are high school hockey teams in Minnesota, just to give you a perspective. And so our goal and part of our team's initiative is to, again, try to get more people loving robotics. And our robotics team is made up of athletes, people who star in the plays here at Eastridge, people who are going to go to Yale and MIT and got perfect ACT scores. There's a couple of those on the team. But most people on the team are just normal kids who love tinkering, love being a part of a big organization, and we run a business. And so part of that business we did this year was we went out and raised $8,000 to start this program. Okay, and so we're going to go through the details on what this program actually does. So the agenda that we're going to go through tonight is what exactly is FIRST Lego League. We have the ability to have up to 10 teams, but in order for us to have 10 teams, we've got to have 20 parents to help coach. And we've got a bunch of kids that want to help too, but the kids aren't old enough to be coaches. The coaches actually have to be adults. We're going to go through the sign-up process, how we're going to go through and form the teams, what the launch looks like, and then we're going to have people get a chance to see what the robots actually do. And this just is not going to cooperate. So I thought what we do is start off and see, this is what FIRST says the robots do. And why is there no about me now?
Celebrating. Sports have paved a way for us to play and move together. The activities that challenge us physically and mentally are shifting, and we are challenged to use our minds, creativity, imagination, and critical thinking as much as we use our muscles. As we rethink where we move and redesign the parks, fields, and spaces around us to create places to play, we have the power to be forces for change and redefine the game. Let's work together to champion every sport and every person that plays the game, so people of all abilities and skill levels can participate, giving us all reasons to cheer. It's time for us to revolutionize the way we play and move. It's time to be game changers. In the 2020-2021 FIRST LEGO League Challenge season, Replay, you will explore opportunities to play and be active. More and more people are not active enough. Playing makes being active more fun. You get creative when you want to play, and it's this creativity, your creativity, that can help motivate us to be more active. How and where can we help people be more active? How can we motivate our community and impact the future? What solutions can we create now to help everyone to a fun and active future? Every role on your team is important to help solve the problem. It will take teamwork, imagination, and creativity. And it starts here, with your critical thinking and imagination leading the way toward fun and active lifestyles for everyone. You will also learn about the first core values. The core values are part of everything we do at First. They are like the members on your team. Each one works together to help you succeed. Discovery, innovation, impact, inclusion, teamwork, and fun. The core values should be a part of your first LEGO League experience. Use them throughout the season. Your innovation project is one component of the first LEGO League Challenge. Identify a specific problem linked to people not being active enough. Research your problem and your solution ideas. Design a new piece of technology or improve an existing one. Make a model or prototype to show how your solution helps people be active. Share your solution. Collect feedback and iterate on your design. Pitch your solution at an event. Make sure your whole team is involved.
This is the replay competition field. There are 14 missions, which can be attempted in any order. You do not have to complete all the missions. Just try as many as you can in each 2.5-minute round. Only the score from your best round will be counted. Your robot must start from this launch area, and you should program it to return to this home area when it returns from the field. You can handle and modify your robot while it is in the home area. If your robot and all its equipment is small enough to fit in this small inspection area, you will score 25 points. Mission 1, Innovation Project. During this mission, you will use the white brick model that you have made that represents the solution to your innovation project. The robot moves your white brick model into the replay logo, or to the gray area around the bench. Mission 2, Step Counter. The robot slides the step counter slow and steady. The further it moves, the more points that are scored. Mission 3, Slide. The robot slides the people off the slide and moves them to other areas, completely in home or on the heavy tire. Mission 4, Bench. The robot flattens the bench, removes the backrest, and gets cubes into the hopscotch spaces. Mission 5, Basketball. The robot gets a cube into the crate and raises the crate up the basketball post to the middle height, or to the top height. Mission 6, Pull-up bar. The robot passes completely under the bar in either direction, then later comes back and lifts itself off the mat at the end of the match. Mission 7, Robot Dance. If the robot is dancing on the dance floor at the end of the match, Mission 8, Gotcha. If both share models have sent only one cube anywhere into the opposing field, then those cubes color match each other. if there are any color cubes in your frame or target. And if there is at least one yellow cube completely in your target. Mission 9, Tire Flip. The robot flips tires white side up, the heavy black tread tire and the light blue tread.
Make math fun this back to school. Hit the ground learning with Prodigy Math Game, where math is fun.
Tire.
Google Ads. I'm going to just skip forward because we're just seeing the same things.
It's an extra points.
I think everyone gets the idea of what the competition is. And so
make sure this is working again. Okay, so I think everyone gets an idea what the competition is for the robot. And there's points for every part of the obstacle course. The average, I was a judge at 5 tournaments last year. The average score that most teams got was 75 to 150 points. So they were able to do 3 or 4 of the tasks. The state championship team, which had been together for 4 years, they scored 480 points. And they got a chance to, if it was a normal year, they would actually go to the World Championships because they were the state champion from Minnesota. And so, again, it's where I try to tell everybody, especially the people thinking, how am I going to get the bot to do that? How does this stuff work? That's what our kids are going to help teach your kids. And we're going to give them exercises on how to learn. And my kids learned even before my oldest son learned before YouTube was really there, and how to do stuff, and you had to get a book to figure out how to do it. And teach basic coding of how to take and using math. It was funny when they realized they could use some of the formulas on pi r squared and things like that to actually use that to program the robot. How many inches should it go forward, the diameter of the wheel? Okay, you want the wheel to turn 6 times and it's going to go this far forward, turn left at 45-degree angle and go. It's really cool to see all this come together. And what we're really going to try to do is to build a team of multi-age children. So they all learn from each other and see things differently. And the challenge is not just building the robot. There's 2 other parts of the competition. The competition also includes a project where they have to research a real life solution. So you heard kind of what last year's problem was, how to get kids to play more. And what are some things they can do to innovate to play more. Some teams came up with a new type of seesaw that people wouldn't fall off of. Somebody came up with the idea of a portable playground to go into the inner city that doesn't have nice playgrounds like we have, to be able to do that. Others came up with a swing that people can go on with a wheelchair. So just all sorts of different things, and they're all really cool ideas. A lot of them aren't going to work because the kids don't understand, the practicality of some of it, but the ideas are awesome. And every year or so, one of the ideas from the teams actually becomes a patent, actually goes to production, and actually becomes like a pretty big deal in the country. And so it gives you the opportunity to see all those things and to learn how to do that. And the third aspect of it is how to be a good teammate, how to work with others, how to listen, how to collaborate. And that's actually something that the judges will measure when you actually go to the competition. That was my specialty, was actually looking at how teams got along together. Was everyone talking to each other? Were they playing together? Were they interacting together? Or did they leave that one kid out? And so we teach, and that's going to be a big part of our structure, as to how to get along with people, especially people that, you know, might be smarter than you, might not be as smart as you, might have an idea that's really out of this world, and why we should still consider that one, because you don't know how that might just impact and change everything and be disruptive. Like, who would have thought an electric car at one point? And so as we kind of go through that, that's really kind of the essence of what FIRST Robotics does. Maddie, do you want to come over and speak a little bit? And Eleanor, if you're in the other room, you can hear, can you come over? This is my daughter, Maddie, who was on a FIRST Lego League team for 3 years, 2 years, and then now is on the high school team.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what you learned?
Yeah. So I guess I'll
Come on up, Eleanor.
first kind of talk about, step out of the light here. I'll first talk about kind of what my favorite part was and kind of what role I played on the team. And I was definitely not a coder at all. I didn't like the technology part. You get me. I did not understand. Like, I had a lot of friends on the team because my team was made up of a bunch of my friends from school and just around. So a lot of them knew that stuff in their brain, but worked in that way, and they were able to do the math in their heads and all of that. And I was more based on that project. And so one of the projects I did was in, I think the theme was something about like the climate. I think you might have done it that year, but there's something about the climate and how to. Mine was space.
It was water, hydro.
It was the water one? Okay, so it was like, I think, using water to solve problems around the world. And so the project that my team came up with was called the Hydrobot. And it was basically one of those planes that like holds water and like shoots it out of forest fires, but it was on the ground in a robot. And so I think one of my favorite parts at that age was at the competitions, you get to make a skit and you get to perform and like show like your project and everything. And that was my favorite part. I am in theater here at Eastridge. And so I really like the acting and the creativity part of robotics. And I think that's one that's not talked about as much.
Eleanor, how about you?
Hi, I'm Eleanor. I don't know if I'm holding this right. But I've been doing FLL. I started in 4th grade, and I just moved to a new school, so it was hard for me to make friends. And as soon as I joined the robotics team, like, everyone was so welcoming, and that's how I made most of my friends in my new school. And we did mostly another competition, but I did do FLL, like the first Lego League thing for 1 year, and that was Into Orbit, which was space themed. And oh my god, it's my favorite thing because I love space and I love building things and like robots and everything. Well, I said that weird, but and so it was super fun to combine some of my 2 favorite things in the world. And I liked the building part of it. And it was also fun to put together the program. But ever since a kid, I would like play robots with my brothers and like build Legos or whatever. So that was super fun for me to be able to build, make new friends. And there's also like a business side to it too, if you're interested in that part. But like, you have to do a presentation for your innovation project, which is solving a real life problem. And that year my team chose cleaning up space junk. I don't know if you heard that, but our idea was like this net that would go out and collect it all. And we weren't as cool as Maddie's team. You could do a presentation anyway and like do a skit, do a song, whatever, but we were kind of boring and did a presentation because we didn't know what else. And I just had a lot of fun working with a bunch of different people and doing a bunch of fun things and like putting together my 2 favorite things in the world. And yeah, I love robotics and I've been doing it ever since. So
Excellent, thank you. And so I wanted to start with the parents' involvement, because this is a program that requires interaction from adults. And it doesn't have to be mom or dad. It could be grandma or grandpa, or whoever. If you've got somebody who is patient. I was not ever allowed to touch the robot. I never programmed. I don't know how to program the robot. I don't know, I can build stuff, but I don't know how to do anything with it. And so you don't need to have any of that experience. And you're actually encouraged not to get involved in that, but let the kids figure it out. So if the kids make mistakes, the kids make mistakes. It's real life. And they learn from that and do better the next year. But someone who is, the goal is to really drive engagement, to meet a couple of times a week, and really from September until November, first part of November, it's typically 3 to 5 hours a week. And then in November, as you get into December, it gets into 5 to 7 hours a week because you're getting closer to the competitions. But what you're doing is helping the kids just brainstorm ideas on how to solve the challenges that they're dealing with. And as a bonus, our kids are going to be doing a lot of that. We'll be inviting the teams up here for joint meetings to strategize together, because one of the things that really works well is the collaboration between kids and ideas and things like that. You need to have a meeting space. And we used our basement, my basement, and we had a hockey, air hockey table that we were able to put our robotics thing right on top of the air hockey table. And it worked fabulous. And so you'll see a little bit of that when we kind of go out to the lab. And then we're going to help provide the parents, mentors, and support. And we'll help brainstorm ideas, we'll help troubleshoot problems. But really what we just need are people who are caring enough and willing and supportive and going to be encouraging to the kids and aren't going to take over and try to drive the project. Because you will see those teams at the tournament whose adults did the work. It stands out like a sore thumb because the kids can't explain anything about it. They don't understand how any of it works. And as a judge, I can tell you, the robots that don't work are almost as cool as the robots that do work. Because what the kids learned about what they were trying to accomplish and overcoming those challenges is actually almost better. All right, so the team meetings, the team should not meet more than 1 or 2 times a week. And so when I coached, my teams from September until end of October only met on Sunday afternoons. And we met for 3 hours, but 20 minutes of that was playtime. So if they got their stuff done and they got their goals met, they could go outside and run around, which that was their favorite part of the meetings. Sometimes buddies get together to play with the robot, and that's okay, as long as the parents are all okay with it. But the requirement from first is that 2 adults are present at 2 meetings. And so that's why there has to be 2 adult coaches, and both adults are expected to be there during the team meetings. And there'll be, as I said, there'll be joint meetings, and there will be some availability for meetings up here, as we're up here almost every night. And so we will be allowing and having some scheduling for teams that want to come up here and actually do something up here, because we'll have a bigger table up here and kind of a little bit more engagement with the teams. And so we'll be encouraging people to do that. And you just pick up your kit and bring it up with all your stuff, and you just sit at the table and start playing around. And so, but again, that home space is going to be really, really important. So we're recruiting and we have room. This is a first requirement of no more than 10 students per team. If I could, I would limit it at probably 8, but 10 is the maximum that's allowed. And so we have room for 100 kids because we were able to purchase 10 robots. We did a fundraiser in the spring and raised a little over $8,000 to be able to, and I apologize, I don't know why that's doing it now. All right, a little over $8,000 to be able to buy all these kits and all the extra parts. We have, the ages are from 9 to 14, and there's no exception to those rules. As much as we would like to and things like that, there's no exception. And one of the things that I did is my daughter just hung out. I was a coach, so she could be there, even though she was a little younger. But so she may have only been on her own team for 2 years, but she was really on her brother's team for a couple of years, just hanging out and watching and learning. We're going to have community-based teams. So we will not be tying any teams to schools. That there will be, and there might be, I guess I should say, some school-based teams. There have been school-based teams in Woodbury in the past. The challenge has been is it's only as organized as if a teacher decides to do it, or if there's a parent at the school that pushes the teacher to say, let's do this and let's try to figure it out. And that leads to a lot of inconsistency within the school district. And so we're copying a model that Becker up north did, and their high school robotics team established community teams. And they took responsibility for organizing teams. And it's pretty cool because brothers and sisters that may be at different schools, or brothers and brothers that are at different schools, can be on the same team, which if they were school-based teams, they couldn't be. And we get more cross-pollination of male-female on teams like this. And so we really are trying to have diverse teams. And we'll talk a little bit more as we go through. But our priority for team formation is, of course, the coaches' kids will be on their own team. Family members, if requested. I've already had a family that said, well, I don't want my kids in the same team. That's fine with us. But if your kids want to be in the same team, we'll make that happen. We're going to be asking for buddies. And what we'd like to see is if you've got a buddy that you know that's going to be registering, let us know who that is. And we will do our best to, again, make sure the buddies are on the same team. And we will look to see if someone doesn't have a buddy, we will look to see if we can get, somebody from their same school on the team with them. So they've got someone who they'll see in the hallways as they're going through. So we'll do our best to kind of match all that together, kind of like I was a baseball coach and in-house baseball for many, many years. And so it's very much like how they put together the teams for sports like that. So there is going to be a cost for the first couple of years, because as we're raising money, we couldn't raise all the funds to be able to make this happen. And so typically the first couple of years, when I did this for my teams, we had the membership to get in was the $50 plus $100. And every family had to invest $100 into buying robot parts. And so we would gather all that money up and then just buy parts together, because again, for the kits that we bought, it was about just a little under $1,000 a robot. And so as we look at that, and I bought bulk, and I bought from a discount for a school. So we're looking at the cost of registration to be $50 plus responsibility for probably snacks at 1 or 2 meetings. Okay, and so the $50 includes, there's a registration for the team to join, to buy, you'll see the obstacle course that every team gets. And then there's also the registration for a tournament that every team goes and competes in. So our high school team is actually sponsoring a tournament here in Woodbury. It's going to be on December 4th and 5th. And so our goal is to have all the Woodbury teams competing at the same tournament. And so they're going to be people that they've practiced with and played with kind of all the way through, and to really get some camaraderie and fun going. And that's going to be at Lake Middle School. Again, I don't know whether it's going to be the 4th or the 5th, but we've got a tournament going in both of those days. And then we also have a team t-shirt that's involved. And if the team is lucky enough to move on, there are 3 levels of tournaments. So the first is the regional tournament, and that's what this membership includes. There's the semi-finals, I think is what they call it, and then there's a state championship. And so I think it's like $20 a kid to go on to each level as the team progresses. And we will have a limited number of scholarships available. We really don't want anyone to not be able to participate because they can't afford the $50. And so there'll be information on the website during registration on how to essentially anonymously request. And then there'll be a form that'll be sent to you to get some details, and then it'll be two of us as adults that will be looking at making the decisions on what we can give out and what we can do. But we're really excited that I am done with all the checks and stuff like that. If you need to pay a check, we can certainly accommodate that. But when our registration site goes live, probably tomorrow or the next day, it'll take debit card, credit card, Apple Pay, Google Pay. And so everything will be electronic. And we're one of the first clubs at school, at the high school, that's actually gone forward and figured out how to do that within all the rules of the school. Within the rules. So here's essentially what the timeline's gonna look like. First, we have the information session, which is going on now, and then we're recruiting. So right now we have about 45 families that have expressed interest in being a part of the First Lego League program in Woodbury. We're also going to be recruiting all the way through Woodbury Days, and we're going to have a booth at Woodbury Days where kids can come drive our robot. I hope they're going to bring our big robot out so they can see the high school robot, and then people can come drive it and play with it at Woodbury Days. The registration process should open tomorrow. I think I put the 10th, if I can get it finished tonight. The challenge, that little video that we saw, this year's challenge is actually going to be unveiled on the 17th, and it's cargo themed. So it'll be moving shipments and Amazon and all sorts of things about how to get materials and products from one part of the world to another part of the world as efficiently as possible. We'll have our final teams finished at the end of Woodbury Days on the 24th and the 28th. And then after 9/6, so after Labor Day, that's when teams will start meeting. Nothing beforehand. Everyone get to the first week of school, get through, state fair if you're going to go, get through the stress of all that, and then come back and then we'll have the first meetings. Okay. Any questions from the folks here on the schedule? Okay. So a couple of these disclaimers, and these are really important. Okay. So these will be community-based teams, not tied to any school. So in the past, I just want everybody to understand, there have been school-based teams. If you go to the Math and Science Academy, I can pretty much guarantee you that they will have some school-based teams. But we can't predict what's happening in the other school because there's nothing set in stone and there's no continuity from year to year. So there have been many teams that have been inactive, so we're not sure what's going to happen. And so if you do sign up for one of our teams and then make the decision to go back to one of the school teams, we're not going to be able to refund the money, okay? Because you're taking a spot from somebody else, and so just think about that before you sign up. There are also some additional robotics opportunities that are available, and I'm not clear on any of these that are currently available in Woodbury right now. So I want to be clear about that. First is First Lego League Explore, which is for ages K through 3. So the little ones. We're going to be rolling that out in 2 years. So this year we're doing First Lego League Challenge, which is for 4 to 8 for grades, because that has the biggest amount of kids that can be involved. Next year, we're going to be going with what's called First Tech Challenge, which is from 6th grade to 9th grade. That is kind of right in the middle between our high school bot and the First Lego League bot. Those budgets were there. The average team budget is about anywhere between $8,000 to $10,000. So as we look, it's a resource thing for us, and so we're raising money, different money every year. So this year was first Lego League challenge, next is first tech challenge, and then is explore. There were no teams for either one of these, as far as I know, that were in Woodbury this past year. I don't expect that there will be teams, but there might be. Or if you are inspired to go start your own team, that's fantastic, and we'll help what we can, but we don't have any control over those. So I just always want to make sure people understand that. All right, a couple other things and then we'll wrap it up. So going back, these are the parent and student. These are some of the expectations that you're going to have to sign off on when you go through the registration process. And these are, again, are really, really important because one of the things about FIRST is culture. One of the things about FIRST is teammates and being good, they call it gracious professionalism. And so you help your friends, you work with other teams. If another team is having a problem, you don't laugh at them, you go over and help them. Because you're not competing against them, you're competing with them, and whoever just gets the high score wins. So it doesn't matter, you're not beating them, you're just doing the best you can as a team. So as a parent or guardian of a child on one of our teams, you're agreeing that you will not interfere with the building of the robot, the coding, or any of the solutions. If we find that out, that's a problem, and that's a problem not only for your team, but for us as an organization for helping you. So there'll be a lot of conversation on that. As a parent and a guardian, you understand that the team will be contributing, the coach will be contributing a significant amount of time and effort to create the rewarding experience. These will be other parents. So please be cooperative and helpful and supportive, and don't be jerks, I guess is my answer to that. Set a really good example for the kids on what gracious professionalism is. You will be solely responsible for getting your kids to and from practices. And just be cognizant, are you able to get your child to and from practices on evenings and weekends? What is your plan for that? Because these are community-based teams and their parents, they will most likely always be evenings and weekends. So if you don't have a plan for that, you need to get one before you sign your child up. Your child is expected to attend meetings on a regular basis. We're not expecting everyone to be when I had a rule for my team, 70% of the meetings was good for me. And some had other expectations, like one of their teams got to the finals in soccer, and so they need to miss a few more meetings, and that's just fine. Display good character and be a good teammate to everyone on your team. It's critical that you and your child understand that a child may be removed from the team if they do not contribute or is a bad teammate. In the first meetings, you will learn the expectations of being a good teammate as defined by FIRST. And then your child is expected to share ideas and listen to the ideas of others. There's no tolerance for team members who will not listen and support your teammates. So that is something that we're going to teach. That's not something that kids necessarily always learn how to do, and that's something that we're going to help teach them how to do. Okay, but that's an essential part of what we do. And so over the next couple of days or next couple of weeks, we've got some really huge events where we're going to be engaging with and recruiting people. So we're going to have the first Lego League table that you see out there that we're going to show you in just a minute, with a couple of robots on there so the kids can come and actually play with some programming. But we're going to be at Woodbury Days in a booth, actually not a booth, we're at the ice rink. It's one real big booth at Ojibwe Park. We're also going to be at the State Fair in the STEM building on Saturday, the 4th of September. And then Saturday, September 18th, here in the big gym in Eastridge, there will be about 20 to 24 high school robotics teams competing. We haven't met in person as a team or as teams and competed in person in almost 18 months. And so a lot of members of our team have never been in a competition. So we're doing kind of a fake competition, but we've got the whole big rules, all the big screens, all that stuff is coming to Eastridge here for the day. And so if you want to bring your kids up and see that for a little bit, there'll be a lot more news on that coming. And it's free to attend. All right, so time for questions. And I'm going to see if there's anything in chat.
because it looks like there is. And I'm sorry for Melissa, Cottage Grove. Cottage Grove is a part of District 833. So I want to be clear that we're in a really weird circumstance that our cities are in multiple school districts, and we have multiple cities and multiple school districts. So like Woodbury has 833 and 834. So anybody who is a citizen of Woodbury, but is a member of District 834, is absolutely okay to attend. Anybody that is in any 833 school district is invited to attend. Anybody that's homeschooled, invited to attend. Anyone that goes to parochial school, invited to attend. And if we have room left over, if there are people outside of District 833 or the city of Woodbury, Cottage Grove, Newport, and I'm missing 2 cities. Yeah, they're St. Paul Park, and then Afton, there's part of Afton. Then we'll open it up to get some more people on. But really right now, it is anyone who is a part of the cities that are a part of 833 and anyone that lives in those borders. Let's see here. Yes, we will ask about the days you can meet too. That's a really good idea. And that's why I didn't set registration out until after this meeting, because I knew there were going to be some really good ideas. So we will ask kind of what days you're able to meet, and we'll try to match those with the coaches. So thank you, Melissa. That was a really, really, really good idea. Let's see. All right. I think those were the big questions. So are there any questions from people here that are in person? I tried to be as thorough as we could. This is our first year doing this. So I've looked at every presentation like this in probably 25 other communities across the country and tried to steal and make sure I covered as much as we could. But there will be more questions. And so here is the email to send to. And I dare say I'm putting my phone number out there. So if you need me, call me. So I will usually respond to texts and emails and voicemails and things like that. I just started a new job a couple of months ago, so I'm signed at that, so I will do that in evening. And I'd like to remind everybody that everybody that's doing this, that's helping, are all volunteers. They will be parents, they will be high school students, and so please be patient. And again, this is the first time we've ever tried anything like this. We thought we were going to start with maybe 1 team, but the initial feedback was so enormous, we actually think we might actually have 10 teams. So, but it all comes down to how many parents we get. If we don't have 20 parents, we don't have 10 teams. And so in that case, it's going to be by the order of people when they register as the one I have to cut off. And so registration will open, I'm expecting tomorrow, and I will send everybody an email that got the emails about this or registered on our website. You'll be able to register directly at our website. We're opening up a store on the website. And so you'll be able to click right on that, on the store, the link, and select FLL membership. And then for anyone that would like to apply for one of the scholarships, there's a coupon code that you enter, and that'll let you go through the entire registration process and not have to pay anything. And then if there's some nominal fee that comes in after that, we'll figure that out and do that on a separate transaction. But that'll allow people to go all the way through the process, even if they're asking for financial assistance. And I want to reiterate that that'll be only between myself and one other adult who will be looking at that. And we manage the finances for the robotics team, so we'll determine what we can afford to give when we see what kind of numbers we get. I have no idea what to expect. Any questions?
Did everything get held last year, or were things canceled?
So there was a whole season last year, and it was 100% remote, and it was odd because a lot of the teams met remote, the judging was done remote, a lot of things were filmed, and so it was all done via video camera and things like that. We try to make it as best we can.
We're planning on in-person this year, but we're also planning on hybrid. So they're organizing for 3 plans of tournaments. So one is a full-in tournament like you saw with all the people. One is a hybrid where it's in person, but only, two parents per team can attend. And so it dramatically takes down the number of people that are in an environment like that. And then third would be a remote, again, in the event that we absolutely have to. We learned a lot last year on how to make it better and make it more exciting for the kids. But they're planning right now on all 3 things. Some questions?
Jerome, do you want the parents from different households? Is that the idea to have?
They could be either way. My wife was one of my assistant coaches the first year, and it was just fine because she just sat and read a book. She didn't want to help and didn't have any interest to, but I just needed another adult there, and that worked out really well. But if it is 2 households, I always believe that it does drive a little bit more engagement because it's different thoughts and different backgrounds and different experiences. And where I just want to say is, again, I am a sales guy. I have been a sales guy my entire life. So I know nothing about engineering. I know nothing. I didn't take physics. I didn't take calculus. I barely got through trigonometry. So you do not need to be smart in science or math or anything to be able to do this. You just got to be able to work with kids. And we will gladly take husband, wife, any kind of combination of spouse, whatever, to be able to make this happen. But, again, we would love to have multiple parents on the team step forward. Sometimes it's neighbors. I've seen a lot of neighbors do it and things like that as well.
So as like a kind of a parent coach, kind of said it's kind of hands off, so allowing kind of the kids to direct the whole process. Do coaches at all like encourage, like, oh, I hear Tom thought we should try this, and John says we should try this. Let's try. Do you kind of facilitate
Absolutely. It
that?
really depends on the age of the kids and really the development and how the team is.
So kind of helping to draw those communications and trial and errors from the kids?
Absolutely. So I can tell you the first year that I did this with my son was in 4th grade.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of, all right, here's the ideas. I made worksheets because I figured that was the easiest. And I put a little silly lesson plan together and said, okay, here's what we're going to accomplish today. Each of them had their worksheet. They had to write down their ideas, and they all came back and talked about it. That worked out really well. And so ideally what we're going to try to help do is give you a lot of those ideas and resources to help you manage the groups and manage some of that conversation, the ideation process, the brainstorming of ideas.
So we're just facilitating.
You're just facilitating that. And you might say, hey, do you really think that's going to work? And if it's not going to be, and you'll learn, one of my teams spent 3 weeks on something that I knew wasn't going to work. And they were HE double hockey sticks bent on doing it. And you know what? It was part of the exercise. I let them do it. It was their 3rd year, and but it didn't work. But you know what? They had as much fun that year as they did any other year.
Sure.
That's part of this experiment, the learning this, and that's why it was done, to help kids really realize that, how these things actually happen and what adults do all day.
So in the actual competition, in the video you showed, there was like so many things that the robot, is it like the said robot goes and is directed to do those based on coding?
Absolutely,
so
yes.
Just one singular.
And so we'll explain kind of when we go out to, and I'll bring a video along for those online so you can see. Maddie, you might want to get your camera and join the Zoom meeting if you can, so you can go up and film when we go out there. But it is, she brought her computer? Okay, perfect. Okay, but it is essentially, the team will pick what obstacle course elements that you think you'll do. That was always my favorite part of the year.
They build one robot?
They build one robot. When they get into the later years, they may build one robot that has 2 or 3 different shells. Did you want to say something?
I just have something to add on
of course.
Come up here so you can, you gotta speak into this, so get up here.
Oh, right. Sure. Pardon me?
So Eleanor is gonna come up, but before she comes up, I just wanna say, you know, as the teams start early on, they'll probably build one robot in their first year. In the second year and third year and the fourth year, some teams will build shelves that go over their robot. So they don't have to build multiple robots, they just build these things that plug into them that do 10 different things. And so that's how they can get the really big scores. Eleanor, do you have something to contribute to that?
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of different creative solutions to this. You can always choose whichever problems you want that are more interesting to you. But I also saw this one older group at one of my competitions that had the brain, that's what holds all the information with the code and that tells the robot what to do. They had one brain, but 6 different bodies. So all the different things that had their motors, their arms and stuff. And they could take this brain out, put it in a different body, and it would do a bunch of different challenges at once. So I thought that was super interesting. They could do 3 at the same time, bring it back, switch out the brain, and do another, and they got all the challenges done in 30 seconds. So it's crazy to see what you could do with these robots.
And that's what the advanced teams will do, and the kits that we bought will essentially allow teams to build 3 different bodies if they wanted to, but to really try 3 different things. I got a question from a little guy over there, then I'll come back over to this side.
So that I'm just using this as an example. I don't know if it's physically possible, but if you had several different brains, is it possible to make it so that way all those brains divide out and not separate different projects at one time?
That would be a really cool idea, but you're only allowed to use 1 brain. So you can only use one of the main robots in the competition.
I would just come back to the question that the registration is for the kids to enter into the league, right? But what about the coaches? When you get interest from the coaches who want to do it, is it a part of the registration process?
Yes, so it is a part of the registration process. So we're asking people to express that they have a family member, adult family member that would be interested in being a part of it. So you would just fill it out right on the form, and then it's a 2-page form. One is for the adult, that's the family member, that's kind of the head of it that's going through, and then the second is for the child. And so we're going to be asking things like, does your child feel comfortable presenting in front of you? We know that not every kid does, so every team has to have somebody who's a presenter. I loved having a gregarious kid on the team. He was hard to coach sometimes, but when you needed him in the tournament, oh my God, did that make a difference when you're in front of the judges. And but we want to have diversity as we go through. Any other questions? Okay, so we're going to go out, if you want to see what the robot looks like and to see what the obstacle course looks like. And so we're also going to be filming this online, I think, too, so and the recording will be shared. So as soon as the recording is up, I will send the email out to everybody. And she said she's smaller, sorry. And then as soon as the registration is open, that'll all come out in one email. So if you want to go look at the robot room, you can go over and you can see a little bit about what the robot does. The kids are out there.
Maybe that's the real world probably.
Yes. For the question about how to sign up, there will be a registration link that will be posted within the next 24 to 48 hours. And so if you've gone to our website, and I'm going to go out there quick for people to see. If you've gone to our website and filled out this information form right here, you will get an email when it starts. So go to error3130.org and just click on the click here for First Lego League information, and just make sure that you're registered down here at the bottom. I hope that answers your question.
You can start. Strong start, Maddie. Strong start.
Yeah.
Why does it do it twice again? Just to like
I
make sure
do
it
that-
goes down?
I make it do it twice to make sure that it actually happens, because a lot of times in competitions there could be, the board might be different than what you coded on, so you want to make sure you do something to make sure that it's foolproof and it happens no matter how.
Doesn't it add times here? Are you timed? Is it how many
You are
things
timed during the
you can do in a
competition.
time?
It's just how many points you get in the time limit.
Hey, this is looking good. Much better than other
Other
times.
Here.
Okay, Maddie, this is the last one. You can't mess it up.
Maddie! Oh god, I messed it up too. Oh, it's not like that. Okay.
Is it still gonna hit it though?
Oh.
No! Oh!
That would totally happen in a competition.
Perfect. I think that's it. I think that's the best one we're gonna get